Chuck Schumer is remaining afraid of a primary challenge in the coming 2022 election. And he continues to keep the heat on Joe Biden in regards to student loan debt. Now, there's a lot of complex dynamics here, but let's listen to Chuck Schumer alongside Elizabeth Warren. And I believe was that Menendez talking about their desire for the public to basically pressure Joe Biden into canceling $50,000 of student loan debt.
So people, folks listening, whether you have the debt, have a friend who has the debt, believe it's the right thing, we're asking you, email, call, write President Joseph Robinette Biden and tell him you want this done. We're trying to get as many people to contact the White House as possible. And frankly, we told this to Joe Biden and he said, go ahead, let it rip. So let's show him what kind of support there is out there for this great plan that Elizabeth, Bob, and I, and many, many others are pushing. Let's get this done.
Oh, yikes.
Oh, my God.
That is Menendez there. I am just fascinated by everything there. So Schumer's trying to pressure Biden by making it seem like he's not pressuring Biden by saying, yeah, he told me to ask the public to let it rip and so he can hear all the personal stories about student loan debt crippling people. Joe, you don't already know that? And then secondly, I mean, I don't know how this is going to affect anything because Biden's already basically made his decision that he's not going to cancel $50,000 of student loan debt. So what is it going to have to take? A piece of legislation through Congress? That's not getting past the filibuster. The only way it's going to happen is through an executive order. And I don't know how many letters from the public are going to change that. But just thoughts.
Yeah. Like, I just don't know. Why don't they do something? Yeah. Right? Like, this is like, I don't know. Maybe you should raise a stink about it. Like maybe Joe Manchin has shown that senators can do to get a priority taken seriously. Like it's kind of insulting, I gotta say, or really insulting, depending on your view of this. That this part of the political process, which we all agree is an important one, that you need to push your representatives, is like being made a sort of like charade. Like Warren leaders saying push, like that's not what it looks like. So what they're asking for is like, I don't know, it almost seems like an email, a play for email.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things you guys hit on it. First off, I don't think Schumer is afraid of a primary. I think what he's doing is just is showing his power. You know, he's the leader. I really don't think. I mean, Schumer. I don't think AOC is going to primary him. I don't think it's such a risk for her. I think we need to get that out of our minds. Schumer doesn't care about a primary. He's not getting primaried. It is, maybe he is. I shouldn't say that. Maybe he is getting primaried, but it's not by AOC. Schumer has it is about power. It is about weighing in on your power, showing that you're on the right side of history. But the reality is Schumer knows very well it's not going to happen, right? If it were to happen, as Matt just said, he would be, I don't know, the leader of the Senate and like hold Manchin and Sinema and like use the power that it's all about a perception of power, but not actualizing power. And in the meantime, it also sucks up space from other issues like the filibuster or things that could be on the table right now that are priorities to most Americans. It's using up energy on issues that they know are going to raise money, get people riled up. Maybe eventually there's a conversation in 10 years about eliminating student debt. And this is the beginning of it, the way that Fight for 15 started 10 years ago. And we're still sitting here discussing the Fight for 15. But this is like, basically, this is the worst form of democratic politics you can imagine. Pretending to lean left, but not actually leaning left and not actually using the power you have to do these things.
So maybe I have a bit more of a generous take than you here, just because what can he do, right? They've drafted legislation, him and Warren, but yes, he hasn't pushed for it in any real way because he knows he doesn't have the votes and Schumer doesn't seem interested in whipping votes. So he sees his only real route to getting something done on this by pressuring Biden. But he's doing it in such a ridiculous, convoluted way, as Matt said, getting people to write in and show their support. Like, dude, you're the Senate majority leader. How many times did Mitch McConnell bitch slap Donald Trump and basically try and get his way? Okay, maybe not in the public, but he exerted his muscle behind the scenes on a regular basis. That's what bothers me more about this. I actually do think that Schumer would be happy to cancel $50,000 of student loan debt, but he's not doing politics in the strong way.
And he knows how to do it. And I think that's the key. So okay, great. Schumer, you want us to pressure around student loan debt? We're pressuring you. Do your effing job. You are the leader of the Senate. You have been in office since you were in your 30s. You're part of the New York machine. You ousted a New York machine. You know how the levers of power work. I was your intern when I was 16 years old. I know how effective you are. Go do your effing job and put pressure on Manchin, put pressure on Sinema to end the filibuster, and go put pressure on the president. You want us to put pressure on you? Write letters to Chuck Schumer and say, do your effing job.
Yeah, that's the thing. You either put the pressure on Biden, Chuck Schumer. You either do that, or you put the pressure and whip the votes from Manchin and Sinema. That's really all you've got. And then see if you can get this done through reconciliation and see if it pertains to the budget. That's it. Those are the only two options, because no matter how many letters are written to Joe Biden, it's not going to change a thing.
I'm especially mad about this today because I spent 2 hours this morning dealing with my student loans. So do your effing job.
It is such a political gimme for Joe Biden to cancel student loan debt, and he just refuses to do it. It's this insane commitment to as a disciplinary tool.
How about everybody send copies of their student loans? How much you're paying every month instead of your rent, instead of your paying for food, instead of your childcare, instead of your basic necessities. Why don't you send what you're spending to Manchin, Sinema, Biden, Harris, who wants to be president, and of course to Senator Chuck Schumer and to Elizabeth Warren. Hey, you're partnering up with Elizabeth Warren and Menendez, Elizabeth Warren. Why don't you pressure Chuck Schumer to do his effing job?
Yeah. Chuck Schumer does not seem to want to whip votes. He wants to hold things in consensus, but he has no interest in twisting arms.
Honestly, he had the same sort of affect as he does when he does this thing Sam makes fun of him for, gimmicks in front of gas stations or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is about $50,000 of student loan debt for people who are a massive, massive societal problem. Take it be a little bit more urgent about it. It's not like.
This isn't about bath salts. He did this big thing for 3 months about bath salts. He's like, and the bath salts are really, they're a hindrance on society. They're ruining New York. We have to prioritize banning bath salts.